Digging for gold or freedom? We all know the term gold digger, don't we? We all think of the shallow, money-driven harlot looking to exploit whoever she can for financial gain. Mostly that is what I have thought anyway, and I believe others have too. But a few things recently have made me realise how many grades of it there are, and how those came to be. And I will admit, there will always be those who don't ever want their own. They want and expect someone else to provide. So will be just a straight up, good old-fashioned digger. But through various obstacles placed there by the powers that be, women were tied into this setup through societal expectations and restrictions. So which came first? It would seem in my mind that it was the restrictions that led to the expectations, because women weren't able to provide for themselves in certain ways for the longest time, so were railroaded into having to seek out a provider. Single mothers, stigma, can't have a bank account, aren't allowed to have the same opportunities in employment, voting, and rights generally. And this is where I guess it wasn't really as easy and straightforward as they might have wanted it, because women weren't content to just have to wait for a man, or be owned by their husband, or need a male signatory to do anything financial, so made a certain amount of fuss about it. Once grown up and into the adult world, it seems an odd way of trying to infantilise and belittle women, but it seems it was felt. Keep them in place by legal means, because otherwise they would want to have similar freedoms and options. And what then? Might men have to up their game and not rely on it being a necessity to have a partner? Because even after things got better, and women were given the same freedoms financially, they switched it up a bit and made it so that one income wasn't enough. So you can have freedom, but not for very long. Everybody in the family ends up working, and both people become dependent on each other. Then they have children, and that is a financial burden many now can't face. But that's okay, the government had an idea. Rather than make life affordable for people and families, they gave handouts to help make ends meet. Instead, it just makes more dependence on the state, keeping them in the never-ending cycle of time and money, taxes and top-ups. But back to digging for gold, because the goalposts have changed there too, haven't they? Not just because there appears to be more pots to dig around in, of varying size, but because there are new ways for women to provide for themselves. Well, not new, but a new version of it. I guess the nicest way I can put it is prostituting themselves online for money. OnlyFans and sites of that nature. I hear the name a lot these days, and kind of chuckle to myself a bit, thinking back to the days of top shelf mags and seedy looking shops with covered up windows. How the industry was always there, but a bit more lurking in the background, and also had shame and stigma attached to it, funnily enough. Yet these days, it's a strange thing to see it encouraged by the media as empowering, and it shows women are taking control of their lives. I see something different, however, and it seems more like some women taking advantage of an available way to be in control of their own income, using what I guess they see as skills and assets. Technically, that is correct. It's another way in modern society to pay your way, and as it's not just for women, you could say there is equality there too. So, you can make your own pot of gold these days, without having to dig someone else's. But the tools are still the same, aren't they? It's the restrictions that are different, which in turn push through changes within the setup. The ripple effect, but with people, families, and society, felt over a couple of generations, yet not entirely noticed. Subtle changes to the way people are allowed to manoeuvre through their lives, creating obstacles and hoops for everybody with your schedule set from birth to death now, it would seem. Nursery, school, higher education, work, more work, your place in society set up for you and around you as you grow. And if you try to work your way round it, they change it. Or now and again they let a few slip through the net and leave them to have a peaceful, uninterrupted life. Everybody else is gradually trapped in the drama and contrived setup of society, mentally at first, and then physically as they get to you. So where we find ourselves now, in this modern, fast-moving scene, with everything at our fingertips, more options than we had ever had before, and people scrabbling over a few pence thrown down from the upper echelons, thinking it seems as though this new gold rush, technology being the facilitator making people digital money. But for what? Wanting you to want to be rich, when they hold the keys to how much you can have, so you never actually will be. Or is it because so many people have now seen through the strange orchestrated moves they make to screw people over and make it harder? Who knows? I suspect they don't care, as they know we are so involved that we don't know how to walk away. So while it may seem that it's just wealth and richness people are wanting when they dig for that gold, I now see it as sometimes they are just digging for freedom, away from the obstacles and restrictions that have been constructed around us from the day we were born. But like Truman in the film The Truman Show, knowing something isn't really right, and yet being just like the patients in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Because even though we know that we know, we all still kind of choose to be here,